Hi, I'm Morag from Our Permaculture Life and the Permaculture Education Institute. So today I'm responding to a question that someone sent in about what do you do about, vegetarian proteins? They rely on things like tempeh and tofu, they were saying, and just find it really hard to get rid of those plastic wrapped tofu blocks. Now, what else can you do? Well, there's a whole lot of things you can do, and it's surprisingly easy to make tofu at home, and particularly tofus that are, not necessarily a soy-based one as well. So I've got one here that I wanted to tell you about how to make it. I can't really do that in a 5 minutes, make it and show you. I might make a separate film about it, but I'll describe it and will show you what it looks like. So this is a chickpea tofu, and it was the most simplest thing whatsoever. Now, believe it or not, you can actually use many of the beans that you would have in your pantry. You can use any sort of cannellini bean. You can use even some of those darker beans as well, but that makes the tofu look quite different that way. So anyway, what did I do? I soaked the chickpeas overnight, and then in the morning I cooked them up just for 20 minutes until they were soft. And then I put them into a blender with some water and made a milk, a little bit like when I made that the nut milk. So just made it into a slurry and then poured that slurry into a cheesecloth or a cheese bag. Now, normally I have this beautiful organic cheesecloth that I put everything through, but I've hardly been out in this pandemic time, and most of my cheesecloth is kind of finished. So I went outside and I found one of those bags that you put around fruits to stop fruit fly coming in on them. And I thought, well, that looks pretty good. So I used one of those. So I poured the jug of blended up chickpeas and water through this and collected the liquid below and squeezed and squeezed and squeezed until all the liquid was out. And I was left with this pulp here, which is basically just the chickpea pulp. And then the liquid that came out is what I then put into a saucepan and just boiled that up for about 15 minutes, stirring every now and then until it became kind of like a custard consistency. Now, you don't have to throw this away, although because it's a raw product, so it's really just soaked and ground up chickpeas, you really need to cook this before you can eat it. So you can add it into a stir fry. You could mix it in with something like a chickpea patty, a veggie burger type of thing. You can add it into baking, cakes or muffins or biscuits. So this is a really valuable product, a high protein product. So don't chuck it. I've actually seen a number of recipes for these sorts of things where you say, just throw this part away. No, this is really useful and valuable food as well. So I'm just going to put that aside now because that's not the bit that we're talking about. So the liquid that I drained off through the bag went into the bowl. I put that into a saucepan, boiled it up for about 15 minutes until it became kind of goopy. And you may need to do it a little bit longer depending on how much liquid you put in, but it just kind of starts to come together, like I said, a custard consistency. And then when it's like that, so when you put your spoon in and it comes up and just sort of sticks a bit, peaks a bit on it, then I pour it into a mold. Now, you don't need any special mold. This was just a kind of a glass jar I had in the cupboard. You could put it into a bowl, whatever you can find. Nothing fancy required for this. And you might have noticed that there was nothing else that I added. That was just chickpeas and water. No, nothing else. That's it. And then you also might have noticed that I had a little bit of a nibble beforehand. So excuse the haggard look on that. So I'm just going to see if I can put the plate on that and ready, set, go. Beautiful. There we are. And there it is. Chickpea tofu. There must be a name for that. I'm sure there is. Anyway, and then you can slice it like you would a tofu. And you can use it for all sorts of things that you would a tofu. Look at that. Oops. Wonderful. So you can eat it just like that, or you can cook it up, or you can mix it with all sorts of things. And so like most tofus, it doesn't really have much of a flavour in and of itself, but once you add it to cooking, then it certainly does. Now, you could also get quite fancy with this and start to add other things in with your mix. Like I said, it was just chickpeas and water. You might like to add different sorts of spices in with this as well. and maybe even a blend of different sorts of beans and peas and all sorts of things. There's no limit to your creativity. And what this means is that you never have to buy one of those little packages of tofu again, which, you know, if you're looking for the organic ones, they can be quite expensive as well. And this literally took me, you know, soak the beans, cook them up. You know, like soaking, it doesn't take any effort, does it? You just put the water in a jar with the beans in it, leave it overnight. In the morning, stick it on the stove, and it can do its thing until they're cooked. And then all it requires is you just to watch a little bit while it's stirring, 15 minutes. That's it. So it's super easy. These things aren't really that fussy at all. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and maybe see as much as I do that this is a liberating thing. When you discovered this, when I first discovered this, I just couldn't believe it. So I hope you give it a try. I may well make a full film showing the whole process at some point, but I'm sure if you Google chickpea tofu, you'll find other ways to do it too, other films, I mean, that will show you the process too, if you need a bit more help. All right, well, down below I've got a couple of links to about my YouTube channel and my blog. There's over 400 articles there, recipes, all sorts of things to help you in a simpler life. As well as well over 150 films, and also some links there to my online permaculture course, the Introduction to Permaculture Gardening one, the Incredible Edible Garden, and the Permaculture Educators Program, if you're looking for something that's actually going to give you an opportunity to take permaculture and make it not only your life but your livelihood too. So it includes the Permaculture Design course, Permaculture Teachers course, as well as some business modules. And I put a link to my 4-part series about permaculture. That's a free series that you're very welcome to watch. And make sure that you share this link, because I really want everyone to know about how easy it is to make your own homemade tofu with any kind of beans that you've got in your cupboard. All right, take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye.